Welcome back. Episode 222 of Chaotically Intolerant. Sorry, I had to think about that for a second. We have playoff baseball. The New York Yankees are eliminated. That's the only elimination I care about. I don't, since this show released, the Red Sox were still in the playoffs. I don't care. They don't care. All I care about is the Yankees are eliminated. That is the goal. But besides that, we're going to go into week 5 in the NFL as well. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and let's go. Happy Elimination Day, everybody.
Yes, 16 years and counting. The Yankees lose, to quote Poppy and Vlad Jr. during the celebration yesterday. I've listened to that on loop a couple times, not gonna lie.
I'm leaving today.
Absolutely. I just gotta listen. I gotta listen. It's perfect.
Be part of it. New York, New York. These vagabond shoes.
All right.
Well, it's
the Yankees are eliminated. They're done.
Yes, they took a page, the Jays did, out of the 2018 Red Sox book, who did the same thing, right? They were carrying the boombox through the locker room or the parking lot. I don't remember.
They did that because Aaron Judge carried it through the concourse at Fenway Park. They won. I believe they won Game 1 at Fenway in the DS that year, and Aaron
Game
Judge
2,
decided.
Yeah.
Or maybe, they decided it would be a good idea to carry the boombox through the concourse of Fenway Park. Wasn't a good idea because we all know what happened after that.
Brock Holt hit for the cycle the next game. So
yeah, it was like, what was it, like 16-5 or something like that in that one?
I think it was 16-1. Yeah,
16-1. Yeah, even worse. So for the 16th year in a row as well, the New York Yankees are eliminated from World Series contention. And we celebrate this. You don't look at other teams and you do this, but when it's the New York Yankees and they pride themselves on always being a winning franchise, and they're the best, right? They're baseball's premier product. They always get the primetime games. Everyone always talks about them to no end, but they still haven't won a World Series in 16 years. If you were born, there are kids driving now that have never seen a New York Yankees World Series championship. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty awesome. And, Yankees fans are just going to be crying all off season about how it's not fair, how it's not fun. I saw a tweet saying that Yankees fans are the most tortured fan base in baseball, and they're being like dead serious, which is the most out of touch thing I've ever seen ever in the history of out of touch. Saying that is insane. So,
I mean, New York is the epicenter of good comedy. So,
yeah, it's the epicenter of being out of touch, of complaining about, complaining about things that no one else, has to deal with, just because you're a New York sports fan. So, I'll give it to the Jets. I'll give it to the Jets. Let's give it to the Jets.
Well, do you know when New York's last pro sports title was? I mean, it's not like it. It's not like Boston where, the Sox have hit a little bit of a skid.
2011, right?
It's been 2011 since the Giants. Well, technically, winter of 2012. But, yeah, it's been a long time for New York, and they have more franchises, let's say, than Boston. Got 2 baseball teams. They really only have 1 football team if you think about it, right? Buffalo Bills.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, 2 basketball teams, 2 hockey teams. Jersey's not too far away. Devils.
Hold on. It's incredibly pompous for them to just claim a team that doesn't play in their state. That's insane. They're just saying New Jersey doesn't matter. Like the state just everyone just assumes
they
New
literally
Jersey.
Say that. They've said that when they implemented congestion pricing, as you said. The governor said, "Well, what do we care about what New Jersey thinks?"
New Jersey is a state of its own. I'm sorry. It is.
Yeah.
And should we even count? I think I should start referring to the Giants and Jets as New Jersey, because that's just ridiculous to me.
The East Rutherford Giants. Yes.
That sounds good. I'm good with that.
New York's a fantastic city in a lot of ways. I enjoy being here, but there's nothing I enjoy more right now than seeing anybody who just showed up for the last few games for the Yankees just to say that they're fans to have no more postseason baseball to watch. Neither New York team. So it's really satisfying. I mean, also hats off to the Jays because they came in without Bo Bichette, and we thought, boy, if they're going to lose this series, it's going to be because the bats don't get going. And we thought, oh, if they lose this series, it might be because the bullpen. And every phase for the Jays was great in the series. They're giving me 2023 Rangers vibes a little bit. So we'll see if they're able to continue that. But they get some rest now. They get to line their rotation up against a potentially tired Tigers or Mariners team. If it's the Tigers, they won't have to face Skubal till Game 3 in that series. So happy for the Jays as well. And just I love it. I love just seeing the Yankees, especially at home, especially because they had played really well. I don't think people realize, like, coming into the series, they were 36-15, the Yankees were, over their last 51 games. They won 8 in a row to get in and push the Jays to the limit with the division. And I had that little bit of doubt because I gloated on the show. I said that the Yankees were not a championship team. They beat themselves. They don't have that it factor. And then all of a sudden, they're coming in hot to the series. And I'm like, oh, no, please don't prove me wrong. But ultimately, they proved me right. And, couldn't be happier. I think if the Dodgers lose, I'll start blaring "I Love LA." So that's probably the only other celebration I'm hoping to still have this postseason. But
I
the
don't
Yankees
even
losing
think
is always
I
good.
would. I don't think I would celebrate as hard if the Dodgers, because the Dodgers, they lose. I don't know. They don't have a ton of fans. It's their fan. I don't think their fan base is quite
Well, it's
as annoying as
yeah.
the Yankees fan base is.
I don't know about that, but yeah, I mean
I mean,
their
they're
fans are
LA.
pretty
It's
spread out
LA
too.
sports fans, right? They don't show up. They never show up. I mean, they show up to
Right,
Dodger
and I
Stadium
think
in the
that's
big
kind of
moments, but
yeah. I agree. I don't like how they have the game at 6:00 Eastern time today. 3. I don't know if they're just trying to cut them a break on the traffic there, or they're just cognizant of potential travel ahead of Game 5. Yeah, I remember because I went to a Dodgers NLCS game in 2013 against the Cardinals, and but I remember not showing up until the 4th inning. The traffic was so bad, and it wasn't a full crowd, and there were some Dodger fans that were being quite nasty to some St. Louis folks. So, yeah, but no, nothing quite as satisfying, especially when you're in the city where it happened, than seeing the Yankees lose.
yeah, especially at home. And Aaron Boone had to sit there and watch another team celebrate on his turf. I mean, that Boone's we're just gonna do the same thing again with the Yankees next year, right? This is gonna be the same story. They're never gonna tear it down, right? We're not gonna see a leadership change. No Boone being gone. Like I, it's just we're gonna get this every year, and that's the greatest gift of all.
Yeah,
Because if it's no, like I said last week, it's no fun if the Yankees suck. It's not like a fun, because they're gearing up to, if they tear it down, they're trying to actually gear up and make the right moves and make a push in a few years. But they're just not going to do that, and they're just going to keep giving baseball fans all this ammo of like, look, you're trying your hardest, and the best you can do is one win in the division series.
the Dodgers have surpassed them in doing what they're trying to do, and the Dodgers have just done it better. They've done it because they have a superstar who's able to genuinely just recruit guys, who's his countryman too, right? It's sort of opened up that Japanese pipeline or that Asian pipeline to LA. They are what the Yankees, I think, used to be or want to be. And I think the Yankees, all they did this year was check one box. Oh, we finally beat the Red Sox in October. We hadn't done it the last 3 times. And last year, I've said this, I feel like a zillion times to anyone that will listen. The Yankees won the American League by default last year. They had Soto. They avoided Houston. They avoided Detroit. Those are 2 teams they're 0-7 against combined in the postseason. And they faced a Royals team that was totally outclassed, hadn't been to the postseason in 9 years, and they beat a Cleveland team who was one of the weakest 2 seeds I've ever seen. And so they weren't going to have that same luck this year. Anyone that thought, oh my God, they were a World Series team last year, and if they didn't lose game 1 and didn't walk Betts to get to Freeman, and Cole covered first base, it's like you lost in 5 games. you were totally outclassed by the Dodgers.
Yeah, it wasn't a 6 or 7 game set like that. Of all things, like if you lose in 5 games, you lost it. You should have lost the series. It wasn't close. That's not a close series.
No, I mean, it doesn't matter if every game was by 1 run. Kind of reminded me a little bit of the Royals-Mets World Series, where you had like 3 Royals wins with these crazy tight late comebacks, and it's like, well, yeah, the Mets could have made a series. It's like, no, but you lost in 5 games. You could have gotten blown out in your losses and still taken it to 7. I mean, so I just think the Yankees proved last year that they weren't championship material because they didn't make those plays. And yesterday it was really satisfying to see Jazz Chisholm was the one who made the error that opened the floodgates a little bit, because he's been the most pompous about how good the Yankees really are and how they just haven't played well. And if they play their game, well, they didn't play their game. They played the game that I think that they've played all year, which is underperforming, losing focus in big moments. The Blue Jays had a lot of 2-strike hits. The Blue Jays put the ball in play. The Blue Jays didn't rely as much on the home run as the Yankees did all year. The Blue Jays won by playing true postseason baseball. And I think
the
that
fact
was
it was a
most
bullpen
satisfying
game of all things to eliminate them too.
And I think Derek Jeter pointed it out. And I like Jeter as an analyst, by the way. I will say that. Don't like I think A-Rod's okay. Poppy brings some entertainment. But Jeter made a good point. I almost said Gus Varland. Louis Varland, brother of Gus, pitched for the 4th time in 5 days. John Schneider brought him back the night after giving up that crushing home run to Judge. To start the game, he comes out, sets the tone early. The Jays bullpen, which has been maligned all year, got it done. Yeah, Hoffman walked the tightrope. We wouldn't have it any other way. It's what he's been doing all year. But a bullpen game against Cam Schlittler, given what Schlittler has done all year, and he pitched well. You can't say that loss was on Schlittler. He only gave up 2 earned until the error in the 7th.
Yeah.
And but the Jays got to him. They faced him in early September. They knocked him out early. So I don't think they were going to come in intimidated by him. But he did his job. A lot of the Yankees individually did their job. You can't put this on Judge. He had an insanely good series. He did. But the Yankees didn't pitch when they needed to. Fried was terrible. Rodon was terrible in the series. The bullpen in the first game was terrible, although a lot of that was Paul Blackburn. It was just the Yankees lost in a way that I just think proved everything that we've been saying about them. And I think that is more satisfying than even had they played really well and gotten beaten anyway. I think they just showed that they can spend all the money they want. They can try to be the Yankees every single year, and they still don't have internally what it takes to win.
They went out with a whimper.
A whimper.
It was a whimper. It felt like a whimper. Those first 2 were dominant. Then you win the game 3, and it's like, all right, are we really going to do this? And then they lose pretty convincingly, I'd say, in game 4. I mean, they made you sweat a little bit in the 8th and 9th inning, but you weren't really nervous. I think if you're a Jays fan, you're nervous. If you're anyone else,
oh yeah,
it's not happening.
Yeah, we were waiting for that inner Maple Leafs to come out in the Jays. I know, talking to some Toronto friends, it was just the same sentiment, like, oh, Toronto sports, buddy. Toronto sports, this is what we do. It was after game 3. And they just come back, and they got to feel really good now. I mean, not that Seattle or Detroit aren't capable of winning the pennant, but the Jays just got by, I think, the biggest hurdle that they're going to have. I really felt like
to win like that,
going to win the pennant.
Yeah,
and I think the Yankees. I think the Yankees are a little better than Seattle and Detroit. And we'll see. Like I said, if Detroit wins, Skubal's not going till game 3. Seattle may be without Brian Wu. I mean, that injury we talk about in that series, but Bryce Miller was cruising into the 4th yesterday, and then the wheels came off a little bit. But not having Brian Wu, that could end up being the difference for the Mariners.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about that series. Game 5, winner take all, Friday night. Who do you think the Blue Jays? I almost said the Dodgers. Who do you think the Dodgers? Dude, what the fuck? Who do you think the Blue Jays do not want to see in the ALCS?
I think they would rather face the Tigers. I think. Well, first of all, I don't think they want to. Either team wants to have that much travel, but Seattle has no choice in the matter. Blue Jays, Tigers, by the way, they're Toronto and Detroit only about 4 hours apart. I think, again, Tarek Skubal being unavailable till game 3 is a big plus for the Blue Jays. I think Seattle's kind of got a little bit of what Toronto has in terms of having this sort of fresh moment here. this city rally behind you kind of thing. There would be tons of Blue Jays in Seattle. In fact, they say that the most visiting Blue Jay fans for any team is Seattle because all the people come down from British Columbia, and it's a countrywide thing. I think Seattle, again, if they get Brian Wu back, I think they have the deeper rotation. I think they have more thunder in their lineup. Detroit in Game 4 the Tigers won in the way I think they had to by the bats breaking out. I don't think they just squeaked by. I think they needed to prove that their offense could have that big outburst in them. Now, it happened over the course of a few innings. The Tigers got to feel good. You know, if you told them, I think before the series, that it'd come down to an elimination game with the best pitcher in baseball going, you'd have to have taken that.
Yeah. Let's go to the National League because I think we talked a lot about the American League to kick it off. We got Cubs, Brewers. Cubs survive. They stave off elimination on Wednesday night. Tonight. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, the Cubs hung in there. They did. They took some big punches from that Brewers offense in games 1 and 2. The big concern I have about the Brewers is the loss of Brandon Woodruff, and that changes the complexion of the Brewers pitching staff dramatically because, look, Quinn Priester had a great year. He was a guy I thought could be a breakout postseason star. He couldn't get out of the first inning yesterday. Now, to the Brewers' credit, the bullpen gave up nothing after that. Nothing. But if you look at the pitchers on Milwaukee's postseason roster, I don't think there's another guy in there beside Freddie Peralta right now that Pat Murphy truly trusts to be a starter with length, because Mizorowski pitched well out of the bullpen, but they obviously lost trust in him to the point where they put him in the bullpen. Robert Gasser's young and inexperienced. Chad Patrick and Quinn Priester may be better suited in long rolls, and they're not sure. I don't know that they can be sure that Jose Quintana is a true, get you into the 5th, 6th inning kind of guy. So that concerns me, especially if they end up going against the Dodgers, who have a stacked rotation, 4 deep with Ohtani, Yamamoto, Snell, and Glasnow. And for the Cubs, kind of in the same vein as the Tigers, although the Cubs have been, every team in this series has been scoring first inning runs. And the Cubs did absolutely nothing after the first inning in this game. Michael Busch hit the leadoff homer. PCA gets his kind of like relief moment of getting that 2-run single. I don't know that the Cubs still have the firepower to come back in this series, but I think Milwaukee's offense is really good. I just question whether their pitching staff can kind of go with this sort of mix and match the whole way through October.
Yeah. And then Philly and the Dodgers tonight, they go at 6 o'clock. Dodgers trying to clinch. Phillies trying to send it back to Philly. I feel bad for Philadelphia fans. You have the Eagles lose to Denver, and then you see before that you saw a 3-run blown lead. You give up 3 late runs to the Dodgers at home. Philly, are we going to see, you posted that on your socials about Philly's pattern of just winning more games and losing in worse ways. Are we going to see that tonight?
Yeah, well, they can't get swept, so if anything, they'll lose in the same fashion they did last year, which was 4 games to the Mets. But this is I think the one game in this series where they feel like they have maybe a slight edge in starting pitching matchup with their ace on regular rest, because there was an extra off day, Christopher Sanchez against Tyler Glasnow. Now, Glasnow's really good, and the Phillies saw him in relief in game 1. I don't know if that will help them in any way or hurt Glasnow in any way, but the Phillies finally broke out yesterday. Their offense had been stifled. They hadn't gotten the big hit. It's not like Yamamoto was terrible. I mean, he was by his standards, giving up 3 runs in 4 innings. How about Clayton Kershaw? Somebody posted on Twitter, like, it would only be fitting in his final year to have one more playoff meltdown, right? Gives up the 5 runs, 4 earned in those 2 innings. And, look, the game was within reach for the Dodgers at that point. It was 3-1 going into the 8th. I think Philadelphia is proving that, it's a strong team too. It's a very strong team, and it's going to need to get out to an early lead. The Phillies were able to save their leverage bullpen arms yesterday. They were able to keep Duran out of the game, David Robertson. I was hoping we would see Walker Buehler pitch in this series. Apparently, he's been giving he was giving tips for on how to deal with the Dodgers. He is on the postseason roster, so I don't know if he factors into those plans at all. I think the fact that they only used Nola for a couple innings yesterday was huge, that he could potentially come back if they get to Game 5. And Ranger Suarez, I saw a stat on Twitter I thought was kind of interesting. He gave up a home run on the first pitch he threw yesterday to Tommy Edman before delivering 5 scoreless innings after that. And apparently he is the first pitcher ever to give up a homer on his first pitch, still toss 5 innings plus in relief and earn the win. Or I don't even know if that meant in relief. Oh, yeah, no, relief. Sorry. So kudos to him for doing that and keeping the Phillies alive. And if it gets to Game 5, all bets are off, right?
Yeah. All right. So what's your prediction for the NLCS?
I still think it'll be the Dodgers and the Brewers. I would love to see the Dodgers blow a 2-0 lead, even if it is to the Phillies. Hey, if the Phillies lose tonight, they still got the Eagles to beat the Giants, right? So there'll still be something to celebrate in Philly. I mean, wouldn't count the Phillies out. Also wouldn't be shocked if it goes back to Philly and then Snell delivers another gem and the Dodgers finish it in 5. I just think they're still too stacked. I still think they're the best team in baseball right now, and I hope I'm proven otherwise, but got to win 2 more if you're the Phillies with your backs against the wall. It's a tall order, no matter who's on the hill.
Yeah. All right, let's go to NFL Week 5. We had a lot of crazy shit going on this week. We had some big upsets, some blowouts. But let's start Thursday Night Football. Rams 49ers. Sean McVay going for the win when he could have just tied it. What's going on there? I mean, is this Rams team, like, are they just going to be one of those teams that you're like, man, if only like a few plays go differently in their season, they might be the number 1 seed here in the NFC?
I think the Rams really made I think McVay made a stupid decision in that game. I was watching it, and I couldn't believe that I couldn't believe he kicked off to start overtime, first of all. And I couldn't believe that he went for the win. You had Mac Jones who couldn't stand up. He was hurt. He was sick. He was, everything was just pointing to the Rams defense being able to get a quick 3 and out, get the ball back, go down and kick another field goal. I really was shocked at how they played that. McVay said, I feel sick for making such a dumb play called like a simple, off tackle play that didn't work.
Yeah, if you're going to go for the win, put it in your best player's hands. Matthew Stafford was Matthew Stafford on Thursday night, and you don't want to put it in his hands. That's baffling to me. That's utterly baffling, or at least let him make the decision, honestly, on what play to run at that point. I mean, you have a veteran quarterback for a reason. He's been in these situations many, many, many times. I trust his word over McVay's at that point. And how long are we going to see San Francisco keep this up?
I don't know. I really don't know. But Kyle Shanahan's proving his mettle, as is the team. And 49ers, they get a couple days off. They go to Tampa, or a couple extra days off, I should say, and then go to Tampa to play the Bucs. But that's a huge win for them. They're undermanned. They go into LA. Of course, going into LA is just like a traveling home game for every team. Talking about LA sports fans. Yeah, it's a shame for Stafford. Everyone was kind of like, I don't know if the Rams are going to be that good because Stafford's old and he's banged up, and all he's done is just put up exceptional numbers so far. They didn't lose the game one bit because of Matthew Stafford. I think they lost it because of coaching and defense a little bit, sure. But the fumble at the 1-yard line, can't do that. And that, you're right, that could be a play they look back on. They don't win the division this year or miss the playoffs. Look at that Kyron Williams fumble at the 1-yard line as much as we look at McVay running a simple play on 4th down instead of taking the field goal.
Stafford, 30 of 47, 389, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, took 1 sack.
Right.
Yeah, right. He was he was vintage Matthew Stafford there. But Mac Jones, vintage Mac Jones, 33 for 49, 342, 2 touchdowns. So I just can't believe it's the year 2025. Mac Jones is going to Brock Purdy.
He might. I mean, he showed if if he hadn't already, he won his team over with that
Yeah.
gritty effort. I mean, guys wobbling on the field, physically beaten up, like I said, sick, just everything, and he literally left it all out on the field. So on a night where McCaffrey didn't do much on the ground, I mean, he did catch 8 for 82 and a touchdown, but he couldn't get a lot going. They were averaging just over 2.5 yards a carry.
Yeah. To the London game, I got to start with just more stupid technology NFL things. So there was a faction of fans who were issued partial refunds for their tickets because the NFL was requiring them to download another app to get to like put their ticket on it. It wasn't like Ticketmaster, just, you pull up Ticketmaster and you show them the barcode. The NFL said, well, if you bought your ticket on Ticketmaster, you have to get this other app and put the ticket in this app. So then there was a group of fans that basically had to miss kickoff for this probably incredibly expensive game to go to in London. Just more like NFL and companies just doing unnecessary bullshit with tickets. Why can't we just get the physical ticket? I need the physical ticket. I remember the StubHub printout, like my dad printing out like the page from StubHub because it was only physical tickets. Physical tickets are 10 times easier. Or just the add it to your Apple Wallet thing. Anything else other than making you download another app it's just these companies make it incredibly difficult to do anything anymore. It feels impossible to do anything at this point.
I've been to many games in my life, most of them like 15, 20 years ago. I saved all the ticket stubs. They were great. Some of them were like season tickets that I bought. It was one of my favorite things. I have a friend who collects them, and now you can't get them anywhere. I don't know. It just, when you said that,
you have to pay to get a physical ticket. If you want to get like a commemorative ticket, you have to go to
the ticket
office.
Somebody makes them, but it's not right. Of course, it's not. When you said that, I didn't really know about it, but it made me think about when Roger Goodell and the NFL sold tickets to Super Bowl 45 in Dallas that didn't exist, and it was like there were seats that weren't ready, and the fans that went to watch Packers Steelers had to watch it in a room. So I think they got refunded, got another Super Bowl. But imagine you go to that game and that's your team. And that's like criminal behavior, but the NFL didn't care. They get away with it. So what do they care about the fans? If they cared about the fans, this game would have been in Cleveland. Browns would have gotten the home game. You would have had people flying down from Minnesota to watch their Vikings, and instead we get I don't even know when it's at. I see these games 9:30. I don't even bother looking where they are. I know they're somewhere overseas. I don't care where.
No, they try to do the look at what we're doing. We're trying to bring the culture into the NFL. Like, I just don't care. I care about the football. That's it.
Yeah,
I care about watching football.
Ultimately, they're playing 60-minute games in the end. What difference does it make where? Like I said, I always thought it'd be so fun if like the Browns played a game at Ohio State, right? Or Michigan, the Lions played a game in Ann Arbor. You want to bring some culture. You want to spice some stuff up. You want to sell more tickets because it's bigger stadium at the big house. Just do that. Make it fun.
And this like just adds to my frustration just with like technology in general. Like every time you log in somewhere, they need 2-factor authentication. You have to get a code from your email. You have to get a text message. You know how many times I have to log in if I'm doing something and I log in through Facebook? They're like, oh, we need to verify your identity. That didn't work. We have to verify it again. It is ridiculous. There's so many hoops to jump through now, and that's why like just doing things is exhausting. Like that's the best way I can say it. Like trying to do anything just feels exhausting nowadays. We got to go back to the simplicity of things.
And I don't have too much to say on the game other than Cam Akers is a great quarterback. 1 for 1 for 32 and a touchdown.
Dylan Gabriel might be the guy. I feel like we've played this game with the Browns for a while where a guy has, a solid debut and then they find a way to ruin him.
Quinshon Judkins
too.
Yeah, Mike
awesome.
Tomlin called him a complete back that the Steelers have to get ready for this week.
Yeah, he is awesome. He's been awesome all year. It's crazy that they're just going to be able to go like right from Nick Chubb to Judkins.
Yeah, speaking of Ohio State, right? Ohio State running back right down the road. So not right
Yeah.
down the road, but close by. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the other thing, Minnesota's field goal attempt that hit the camera wire that no one was able to see. Minnesota essentially missed a field goal in the fourth quarter. It was called as a miss. They just did it's missed. And Minnesota has been arguing that it hit the camera wire. The replay clearly shows the football hit the wire and affected the play in the NFL. Luckily, Minnesota did not lose this game, because if they did, I would be up in arms for Vikings fans.
Yeah, that's
because
an
that
old
would have
thing.
just
I
been the
mean,
most. It's
yeah.
ridiculous. How do you not notice that?
Well, ESPN used to have the Sky Cam on their Sunday night games. So it's not new, but yeah, I don't know how that happens.
Yeah. All right. Colts Raiders. Man, these Colts. Oh boy. This is like a real football team. I feel like I'm watching a real football team that is actually good. Raiders are really bad. That's really all the note I got. Geno Smith does not look good. JT 3 touchdowns. Anthony Richardson he caught his own pass and ran for a first down. It was hilarious. It was awesome. He's carrying 3 guys, just literally pushing the pile by himself. That is like the perfect slot for Anthony Richardson. Just come in at the end of games, make really funny, cool plays. But seriously, I hope he gets traded to somewhere like San Francisco or somewhere where he can actually do something, because this team, I just don't think it's him. This is not a team for him. He needs a really good play caller. He needs someone in an established system that works for him. And I think a system like LA, maybe Matthew Stafford getting old, send AR over there. Anthony Richardson for Puka Nacua straight up. We'll do it. Easy. No problem. I'll do that.
Yeah. I just saw the highlight. That was pretty cool. Little Lamar Jackson-esque from the AFC Championship game. And the thing that stood out to me about this game, Colts didn't score in the first or fourth quarters. They just scored 20 in the second and 20 in the third. They are really good. Yeah,
touchdown drives. 6
That's incredible.
Straight touchdown drives.
This AFC is open. I think the Bills are overrated. I think the Chiefs are back to earth. I think there is no reason in my mind that the Colts can't be the AFC Super Bowl representative. And I don't know that we want to go into it because we could spend all day. The hero of this game was probably Brady Quinn for stepping in on short notice for Mark Sanchez.
Yes. Mark Sanchez, bad guy. Bad guy.
Oh, there's always been some stuff about him going back, I think. Not going to get into it if you want to look up and read about it, but questionable character. And, hopefully the other guys, hopefully he's okay, but hopefully the other guy's okay. Crazy stuff. But yeah, Quinn coming in on short notice, very little sleep. I didn't see the game. You could probably tell me how he did on the broadcast, but if he stumbled at all, I think he has every excuse to have done so.
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit about Mark Sanchez. I'm comfortable saying he's just a bad dude. I mean, I saw the photos of the guy in the New York Post who, the victim. He was a victim. And it was kind of gross how the media was immediately painting Mark Sanchez as the victim as soon as it came out. Fox released we're thinking about Mark Sanchez in this time. Mark Sanchez fucked around and found out, I guess is the best description of it. He attacked someone and was attacked back. I mean, the guy reportedly, the victim pepper sprayed Sanchez after Sanchez was attacking him. Sanchez didn't stop. And then the victim was forced to stab Mark Sanchez. The victim has a gnarly cut across his face here. It looks like through and through his cheek. He's a 69-year-old man. And I had this question. What's more embarrassing, the butt fumble or getting beaten up and stabbed by a 69-year-old man when you are a 35, 39-year-old? He's in his 30s. Former quarterback who was an embarrassment on the New York Jets. I mean, Mark Sanchez, I don't ever want to have to listen to him on Fox. I don't ever want to have to see him in media again. I think he should go to jail for what he did. It was clearly assault on a grease truck driver, a guy just trying to do his job in Indianapolis. I mean, again, you want to talk about out of touch. Mark Sanchez and Fox Sports and all these media people who were like Mark Sanchez, the best dude ever, just got stabbed, like all out of touch. So I hate saying this, but good riddance to Mark Sanchez. Hope I don't have to see him again.
Yeah, Sanchez was actually arrested in 2006 after a female USC student accused him of sexual assault. In 2011, Sanchez technically did not break the law. He had a relationship with a 17-year-old girl. I think the story was that he met her and said he wasn't going to pursue it, and then he had met her in New York, and then she told him that in New Jersey the legal age is 17, so he said, let's go back to New Jersey. Yeah.
That's fucking weird, man. That's fucking weird. That is gross. Well, not a shock, I guess. That is the least shocking story I've ever heard after seeing what happened. But yeah, more embarrassing, butt fumble or this incident? I'd say this incident, but having the butt fumble and being beat up by a 69-year-old man, pretty embarrassing. So,
oh yeah.
Yeah, not good. All right, Texans Ravens. At least it's not. At least, listen, we talked about the Mark Sanchez thing to prep the listeners for this embarrassing loss. 44-10. This is just bad. They're bad. They're really, really bad.
You know, I've been wondering these last few weeks too about whether this is actually who the Ravens have been the last few years, with Lamar Sanchez able to mask a lot of these deficiencies.
Lamar Sanchez.
Did I say Lamar Sanchez?
Yeah.
Oh my God. I did what you were doing.
Sorry,
with the
Lamar.
Dodgers.
We're not trying to compare you to that guy.
Maybe on the field, the way it's been going. I am so sorry. God, my brain is crossed up. That's what the Ravens are doing to the fans right now. They're screwing with their heads. Lamar Jackson has been covering up the deficiencies. But half of Cooper Rush's incompletions in this game ended up in the hands of the Texans. They didn't run it. The only guy that actually shined on defense was rookie Teddy Buchanan at 15 tackles. I just think the mentality of this team has been what it's been the last few years, and Jackson and the offense have been able to cover up a lot of the warts. But the mental shortcomings that the Ravens have had in a lot of these postseasons is kind of finally coming to the surface. The fire Harbaugh chants were going. It's just so ugly. It's ugly because, yes, you lose Jackson and you expect a drop-off because nobody can replace him. But how many times have we seen teams, at least in a short period of time, be able to tread water, you know, and at least be a competent football team in the absence of your quarterback? I think it's just proving that the Ravens have so many holes. They have to do something about their defense right now. They went out and they made a signing this week, right? They picked up the veteran safety. What's his name? CJ Gardner-Johnson, who kind of, I feel like, wore out his welcome in his last two stays. But the Ravens right now are desperate. They traded Odafe Owe to the Chargers, so goes from one Harbaugh to another. But yeah, there's just not a lot going on right with this team. The line has been a problem. I don't know if Henry has been shaken up by his fumbles. Everything just looks awful right now. And if Harbaugh wants to quiet those fire Harbaugh chants, better get this thing turned around in a hurry.
Yeah, a legitimate playoff team does not look this bad when their quarterback goes out. I mean, obviously, like you said, there's going to be a major, major drop-off in play when your star MVP quarterback goes down for a few weeks. But you have to tread water in these situations. This is where you're tested. This is where these teams are tested, and they say, can you handle the worst adversity possible? Because you go into the playoffs, you're going to face adversity. Maybe you're not going to see your quarterback go down, but you're going to face adversity in other ways. And they're crumbling. This is a crumbling football team, especially in a time where you knew you were desperate for wins after how you started the season with Lamar. So
27-12 in first downs. Yeah, 417, 207 in yards. It was disgusting.
This is telling of this team. And the Texans, I got nothing to say. They've been not great. They've played a couple bad teams where they're able to pick up some wins. But I got to see it done against a real football team. Also, CJ Stroud saying that he's not as athletic as he was when he was younger. CJ Stroud's 23. Why is he not? He should be heading into his prime right now. I just don't get it. I don't get it. That was a weird thing to say from him. Another bad game. I don't want to spend too much time on it. Giants Saints.
Well, we knew the Saints had been playing, a little above their means. Good for Kellen Moore to get his first win, and maybe just a sort of a classic come down spot for the Giants after they get their first win against the Chargers. I think Jackson Dart's numbers were very modest in this game. I wouldn't say he played badly per se.
Last week, honestly,
they were modest last week. He only took 1 sack, so you can't put it too much on the line. But Spencer Rattler, I mean, he's putting up decent numbers. He's giving him a chance.
First win as a starter in the NFL.
Yeah, big game for Rashid Shaheen at the long touchdown, and I think if nothing else, you're seeing again. We always talk about coaching, and it's like John Harbaugh's Ravens are so pathetically underachieving. I would say right now the Saints are overachieving at 1-4. So, and this is a rookie head coach, so I think Kellen Moore's doing a really nice job. And I don't know what to say from the Giants' perspective. Just you got your win last week, you had to come down. Now you get a test on a short week against the Eagles. Let's see if they can put up a competent effort at least.
And let's go to Broncos Eagles. Down goes Philly.
Yes, finally.
Second of the last undefeated, which we'll go into the last undefeated team who's not undefeated anymore. But Philly, I think they had to lose at some point. And again, they haven't. We thought the way they were winning was just they find ways to win, blah, blah, blah. Now they lose in kind of the same style that they had been winning. I don't really know if this is I need to see more from Philly. I don't think this is indicative of who they are as a team yet. You're bound to lose at some point. We rarely see teams dominate in the way that they had been dominating over the last year and 5 weeks or so. So, really, it's been about a year. Because remember that not so good start through the first 4 weeks of last season. Then they went on the run for a year. This could also be that moment where it's like, oh, we did it for a full year. Well, now we're going to go back to the team that we ended 23 and started 24 as. So maybe it is indicative of this team. Maybe they're just on this weird cycle and we're going to get fire Sirianni chance in 3 weeks.
Yeah, I think it's hard to say a team is having a Super Bowl hangover when they're 4-1.
Yeah,
it feels a little bit like they not sleptwalk. I mean, they found ways to win, but they've sort of walked this tightrope. Denver gets 3 scoring drives totaling 18 points and 186 yards in the fourth quarter. I mean, it's not like they went out and lost to the Saints or the Browns. I mean, they lost to a solid team. You even speculated that 3.5 point spread was that the Vegas knew something. Because I fell for it. I thought that was a low line for Philly at home against the whatever Denver team. But yeah, this is a big confidence builder for Denver too, and they hold Saquon Barkley to. I mean, Barkley only carried 6 times for 30 yards. Was he hurt? Did I miss something?
They need to get that figured out. You have to get the run game figured out. I mean, this is Saquon Barkley. That is unacceptable in my eyes as an outside Eagles fan.
Yeah, Hurts got sacked 6 times in this game. So, they clearly had to take some of the pressure off of him. And
yeah, this is I'm not panicking. Like if I were an Eagles fan, I wouldn't be panicking yet. It's 1 loss. If they come out and struggle against a bad Giants team tonight, then you might start to panic and think, are we back on that bad cycle? Right, because obviously week 5 of last year, they hit that stride. That was when they hit the stride. Week 5 of this year, who knows? Well, or week 5, they lost. So they need to dominate, I think, in that Thursday night game. They really have to get back up off the mat and say, hey, we're the Eagles. Like, we're a good team. We were just fucking around. We're trying to conserve energy, maybe. And then the no pass interference call at the end with Dallas Goedert down the field. That was egregious, absolutely egregious. I thought it was a layup pass interference for Philly, and we were going to have a last couple plays down in the red zone. It was going to be a lot closer. So I felt like that was crazy, but the fact that they still found a way to get close to the end zone At the end of that game, they did get the Devontae Smith 24-yard catch. So this Eagles team, like, they wouldn't go down without a fight. You know, they didn't just flail out like in a whimper like Kansas City did at the end of the Jags game. So Eagles aren't done yet. I'll say that. Don't celebrate the Eagles' downfall yet. If you're
not at all. Not at 4-1. And you're right. That was a terrible call on Goddard. I just watching the replay here, got just thrown to the ground. So, hey, it happens. Remember, they got a questionable personal foul in the Super Bowl involving Goddard last year. So,
yeah, I think they'll take that trade.
Yeah,
they'll make that trade every single time. Cowboys Jets. Justin Fields, great fantasy quarterback. He's going to put up numbers. He's going to find a way to put up numbers, even in a, what is that, a 15-point loss. And the Cowboys, I mean, the Cowboys, you know, they're defying expectations. They're not going to have a top 5 pick this year. They're going to be a competent football team, and they're going to go out and they're going to compete. You know, they're going to make you sweat a little bit. I think even if you're a good team like Philly, which we saw week 1. And the Jets, overall, they're just a bad team. They're a really bad team.
They are. Monday night hangover. It's just always startling when the Jets actually score some points, and it's the defense that lets them down. But
isn't this what you want as a Jets fan? Like, for them to at least score points, make it fun.
Yeah. But here's Dallas. It's kind of funny how this is the year where there's no expectations for Dallas. It's like, oh, and now they're playing better than we thought. And it's kind of a weird phenomenon to grasp your head around, that the Cowboys may be overachieving right now. This is something we just never say about the Cowboys for 3 decades. But, you know, again, the numbers for the Jets were good, but this was a dominant game. It was 30-6 after 3 quarters.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm trying to pull up the box score here. I mean, you look at Justin Fields, 100 rating, 32 of 46, 283, 2 touchdowns. I mean, again, I know that was probably more in garbage time, but I mean, that's an encouraging stat line to see from a quarterback. If you want to try and maybe compete in a few years, you're going to hopefully have a top pick. They're winless right now. Maybe Justin Fields could be proven he could be the guy in New York if he could survive Chicago, you know, because that Chicago media is not kind, and the New York media isn't going to be kind to you either. But maybe this is what the Jets needed. They needed a guy from another unkind place to, you know, maybe get his licks in and be able to shrug this shit off. Rookie quarterbacks, maybe it's just because they're rookies. You know, it's difficult to be a rookie in New York, but bringing in a little bit more of a veteran could be the move, you know, and Justin Fields isn't Aaron Rodgers, where he's constantly in the media trying to stir shit up. Justin Fields seems like he just wants to go out and play football, and that might be the way. This could be a positive season. It could be a positive season with a really bad record for Jets fans.
Yeah, only 1 turnover for the Jets in this game, but none for Dallas. If Dallas doesn't turn the ball over, they're a pretty good offense. I mean, they've put up some big point totals this year. 40? They had a couple 40 burgers. They get 37 here against the Jets. I mean, you know, a lot of Dak haters, a lot of Cowboy haters. I get it. But like I said, this Cowboy team kind of very quietly is like keeping itself right there in the mix. And yeah, they got blown out by the Bears, but they took Philly to the wire on opening night, tied Green Bay. So, feisty. I don't really say that about the Cowboys, but maybe feisty.
Panthers, Dolphins. I don't even want to think about this game. I mean, it was a great game. It was a great game to watch, but just these teams suck, and I just don't care about either one of these teams.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have a lot to say, although, you know, for as bad as it feels like this Carolina season is, they're 2-3. And in the NFC South, that may be enough. And how about Rico Dowdle, man? 206 yards on the ground for this kid. He grew up, actually know a guy who went to high school with him, talked to him a few times about Rico, and I guess I hear he's a good guy, I guess, so that's good. 206 yards on the ground. Actually, he had more rushing yards than Bryce Young had passing yards, but Bryce Young gets it done. I mean, and it's so typical of the Dolphins. Tua has really good numbers, 3 touchdowns, no picks, but they run for 19 yards on 14 carries. How can a quarterback win when that's your run game?
I think this is going to be the full drop off of the Miami Dolphins. They played some
Finally.
competitive games like the past few weeks, the Monday night game, this game, they were up big. They blow the 17 point lead. They won what did they play? They played Buffalo tough, right? They they beat the Jets, played Buffalo tough, played New England tough, got killed by Indy week 1. They've been like hanging on for dear life here. And then you lose Tyreek and you think, okay, this could be the perfect moment to win, maybe recover the season a little bit. But then you blow the big lead. I think they're going to get their doors blown off against the Chargers. I think it's going to be, I'm looking at the schedule. These are not like good teams by any means, but I don't see anything positive for the Miami Dolphins ahead. Like, this was the moment to show some fight, show Tyreek we can still do it, play for Tyreek, that type of thing. But no, this was bad. This was really bad. And they're going to be, I don't think there's any sort of savoring this season at this point.
It's like quicksand for Miami. Just throw up your hands, let the sink happen, and start over.
Yep.
It's almost worse being a Dolphins fan than like a Lions fan or Browns fan over the years, because this team's given you hope every single year and never delivered.
Yeah. Bucs Seahawks. This is not sustainable for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm going to say it right now. This is not a sustainable way to win. The defense is just not there. Obviously, they made, the Levante David had the pick on Sam Darnold late, making the play that needed to happen at that moment. But I just don't think this is a sustainable way to win if they want to win a championship.
I tend to agree with you, but man, if Baker Mayfield's going to go 29 for 33 for 379 without Mike Evans, it's like this Bucs offense is just really like a spectacle, and they don't run it all that well. And sure, they gave up a ton of passing yards too, but this is just a really fun game. The Bucs are like the most entertaining team to watch right now. If you're a fan, they're it's kind of like the Jets, except they win. Right?
Yeah.
And they did that against the Jets. So, yeah.
Again, this is against a Seattle team with Sam Darnold, who, I think there's a lot of question marks there. When they saw the big team, the Eagles, they were not able to pull it out. That way of winning didn't work. And I can see so well teams like this. Andrew Luck's Colts were like this. They played a lot of close games. They had a lot of comebacks. And when it came playoff time, they just couldn't get it done. The farthest we saw them was get their doors blown off in the Deflategate game, where the deflated balls helped them. They played better in that first half than they did in the second half with the real football. So I need to see them dominate some teams, and obviously Seattle's not a bad team by any means. I think they might make the playoffs. They're definitely going to be in a battle for the playoffs, but teams like the Jets playing them close, the Texans playing them close, that is more what worries me, is that they're doing it against a multitude of, many different types of teams. And I need to see it. You need to see them maybe put their foot down against 49ers, especially at home with either Mac Jones or Brock Purdy banged up. Either way, this 49ers team is very banged up. You need to see them kind of put their foot down at some point and say, hey, we can win games without making you sweat. We can go out and win a game by 14 points and not have to worry, because there's a lot of mental energy that is spent on every single game. And you just want one where you don't have to stress the entire time. Yeah,
I can't disagree with you there. But hey, 3-0 on the road, game and a half lead in the division. Bucs will take it.
Great uniform matchup, by the way.
I love the old Seahawks.
Possibly best of the year. Seahawks and Bucs throwbacks are possibly best of the year.
1976 came into the league together. I love those Seahawks uniforms. Can't believe it took them so long to get back into using them.
We had I remember those neons. Oh, all the neon uniforms we had to look at for like 10, 15 years.
Oh, yeah. No, these are the Seahawk Kingdom uniforms. Just before they moved out to CenturyLink or whatever it's called. A couple of years at UW with those uniforms, and then everything changed when they moved to the new stadium.
Yeah. Titans Cardinals. Hold on to the fucking football. Why is that, Mike, why is that such a difficult concept to grasp for these guys? It doesn't look that cool when you drop the football. if I'm a coach in the league right now, I don't care what team I'm on. I don't care if my players have done it. I see that and I'm saying we are running through the end zone and we are doing the rugby thing where you have to put the football down at the back of the end zone. Like you have to down the football because this is getting ridiculous. This has happened twice now in 2 weeks. And especially like a guy like DeMarcado. I think it was DeMarcado who did it. Just like a fringe roster guy who it's not like it's a Jonathan Taylor where he's done so much for your team and it happens and you're like, fuck, man, like I really wish you didn't do that. But you've done so much for us. You've been an all-pro. You've been a Pro Bowler. You've been there in the big moments. Like we can excuse it. But a guy like Adonai Mitchell and a guy like I think it was DeMarcado, what the fuck are you doing? What are you doing? You're lucky to be on this team right now, and now you're costing the team important games. I mean, this NFC West is a tight battle, and every single game matters, and especially against a Titans team who can't protect their quarterback, who hasn't won a game all year. You can put them away right there, but instead you fumble at the goal line and then your team crumbles. I mean, there's a fucking interception that's fumbled and then recovered in the end zone by the Titans. This is insane. And the Cardinals, this just proved that Jonathan Gannon does not have control over this team. This was an incredibly undisciplined Cardinals team. In this game, a horrible Titans team who couldn't move the football. I mean, I don't know if this is like fireable offense by any means for Jonathan Gannon, but if he gets fired at the end of the year, that's going to be one of those games that you look at and say, that's a reason that you were fired. And he gets fined for like screaming and hitting his running back. I understand the screaming, but the body check is over the line.
Yeah. I think you could maybe put your hand on his shoulder a little bit firmly, but there's never a place to physically shake a player. I understand. He had every right to be screaming in his face. I have no problem with that. And the NFL,
yeah,
it's not your typical workplace. We're not talking about, the boss comes over to your cubicle and puts his arms around your neck. There's probably a little more leeway that coaches have. There's no Bobby Knight here. We're not throwing chairs or strangling guys, but I don't know if this is going to have to happen in like a huge moment in a playoff game for players to just completely realize that this is not okay. And it cost me my survivor pick. So thank you very much, DeMarcado.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. It's unacceptable. That is like the ultimate unforced error. It is. And there's just, I mean, especially him slowing down too. In the replay, he has someone hard on his ass and he just slows down trying to celebrate into the end zone. Like no big fucking deal. Like you're in the NFL, dude. You're a fringe. You're a backup running back. Grow up. Seriously. Like these guys need to grow up.
He's the easy scapegoat in this game, but how do you blow a 21-3 lead to the Titans? I'm sorry.
It's
fumble
it's
or no fumble.
In that way too. Yeah.
When I think Titans down 21-3, win 22-21, I think about the 2017 wildcard game where Mariota caught his own touchdown pass against the Chiefs. Something about
Alex
those
Smith's
numbers.
Chiefs. Not
Alex Smith
not
Chiefs,
Patrick
right?
Mahomes'
Well,
Chiefs.
Mahomes was on the Chiefs that year, but he just didn't play. So, yeah.
8 penalties for 47 yards from this Cardinal team, too. I mean, clearly just incredibly undisciplined, and this is year 3 of Jonathan Gannon.
Yep.
This has to be the year. They have shown flashes. They have definitely shown flashes of being a competent football team, but undisciplined football gets you fired. That stuff is unacceptable. And for the Titans, congrats to Cam Ward, first win. And again, like this team just sucks. The Titans stink. And I think he's going to be good. I hate that I think he's going to be good, but this is just a bad team. But Brian Callahan is not the guy in my eyes. He is not the guy to lead this team. He is the perfect guy to lead them through a really bad time and then get them to the next coach who will hopefully lead them into the good times. But that's all I really got. Titans are bad. Get the first win. Get that off your belt. That's all you got to say. You get it. You get it off your chest. You get that win. And it feels good. It gives Cam Ward a little bit of confidence.
Yeah.
Commanders, Chargers. We knew it. Everything that we knew about the Chargers is true. I'm already calling it. They're charging. It's charging again.
Yeah. The only thing I really that stands out for me. Jaden Daniels comes back after a couple weeks off and does, he does enough to win. It wasn't, like a scintillating performance. But, saw him use his arm, saw him use his legs. Krosky Merritt keeps impressing. And I think the Chargers had to feel like they were just exposed by the Giants a little bit in that game.
The Chargers, I mean, this was just another embarrassing game for them in my eyes. Tons of penalties here. 10 for 85, 3 turnovers in the red zone or in Washington territory. Like, that's just textbook Chargering, textbook. It's the same team. It's the same team. I don't care how good of a coach you bring in. It's the same team.
Yeah.
That's all you can say. The Chargers are the Chargers. Lions, Bengals. Joe Flacco on the Bengals. I think they're going to show some fight here. I think we're going to get a little bit. I think the Bengals are going to be a little bit more exciting. Obviously those points were garbage time. I think the Lions had like a 31-3 lead or 31-6 lead at some point in this game. But Jamar Chase showed a little fight. He finally woke up. And, the Lions are good. David Montgomery, cool to see him run and throw for a pass or throw for a touchdown and his return to his home city.
Yeah, I think the Bengals are bad. I was hoping the Ravens would get Flacco. Lions, highest scoring team in the league. We had a lot of concern about them after they only put up 13 points in week 1. They look the part. They have not dropped off nearly as much as people seem to think that they have or would. And they, now winning the games that you are supposed to win, and this was when they were supposed to win. Like you said, they had a 28-3 lead in this game, so they never really were pushed too much. And then, the defense can, I don't want to say take plays off, but they finished the game with a safety, so that was good.
Yeah. I'm also looking at this. Indianapolis Colts are second in the NFL in points per game with 32.6. Yeah. Pats, Bills. Patriots are back. Drake May has arrived. And are the Bills as good as we think?
No. No, that was more my takeaway. I mean, props to the Pats. They're 2-0 on the road in the division. They beat Miami and Buffalo. Figure those are their two toughest ones. Those playing in those two places also play Buffalo at home. You know what stands out? How lucky were the Bills to beat the Ravens in week 1? They blew out the Jets, big deal. Struggled somewhat with the Dolphins. Didn't look overly impressive against the Saints. Come out and lose to the Patriots in prime time. I don't think they're nearly as good as people think. I think they're good. They'll be in the postseason. They'll probably win the division. I wouldn't say it's a lock at this point now that New England's got the head-to-head so far. Drake May has arrived. Stephon Diggs coming back to Buffalo, 10 for 146. Said all the right things after the game. But Buffalo, I don't know what it is. I just don't know what it is. I don't know if it's because everyone's telling them that they're really good, but they just don't feel trustworthy to me. We'll see if they can change that.
We forgot about a vengeful Stephon Diggs. We completely forgot about how good he is. I mean, he was running perfect routes. Like everything. And the Patriots were they were sloppy. A lot of penalties. I have them 8 penalties for 93 yards. I mean, that's not disciplined football, especially for a Mike Vrabel-led team. But Buffalo actually beat them 11 penalties for 90 yards, 2 lost fumbles, and a pick. So this Buffalo team was incredibly undisciplined as well. And, I mean, I think they lost the game. Drake May obviously went out there and won it on the last drive, but it felt like they lost this game.
It did. It did. This is a huge step for New England, though.
Yeah. Big step. They catapulted themselves, and they feel like a playoff contender. Chiefs, Jags, Monday Night Football. I don't believe in the Jags. I still don't. Like, this game did not convince me of anything about this Jaguars team. It just convinced me that the Chiefs have come back to earth, that they're still not back. For a little while, it felt like, oh man, like Patrick Mahomes is back, the Chiefs are back, but that was like in the first half, and they just completely took that away almost immediately.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Jags are solid, and they showed a lot of grit. Mahomes has already lost more games this year than he did all of last year, including the Super Bowl. So Yeah, I love it. This is kind of the precursor celebration to the Yankees losing, right? Seeing the Chiefs blow this lead, but yeah, what a game this was. And I think Jacksonville, look, if nothing else, they're 4-1, 3-0 at home, playing with confidence. Who would have thought Colts Jaguars will be a huge game?
That's true. I mean, I just look at this Jaguars team 26-21 to the 49ers, 17-10 over the Texans. They lose 31-27 to a half of a game with Jake Browning. And then they beat the Panthers. They stomped on them. But this Jaguars team hasn't really inspired anything in me. They just look like the Jaguars still. Maybe it's the uniforms. Maybe it's the stadium. Maybe it's just the gimmicky kind of like Travis Hunter thing going. I don't know. They just don't really inspire anything. That they just don't look that good to me.
I'm
fine.
sorry.
They're a solid football team. They're solid, but they're not going to go anywhere.
When you've won as many games this year as you did all of last year, you don't have to apologize for squat. So I'm giving the Jags credit, and they're not overly convincing, but Liam Cohen comes in and he's already matched the win total from last year. So we'll see. I mean, they've got Seattle and the Rams coming up going into a bye. So
This
more
is
of
the
a prove it
test.
opportunity. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, listen, you beat Kansas City. I'm giving you credit. I'm giving the Jags credit that they beat Kansas City. So good on them. Congrats. You're getting credit for that, but I got to see more. I really do. And I think that is a theme in week 5. You have to see more from all these teams.
Yeah.
Let's go to week 6. We're going to make our picks here and then get out of here. Thursday night football, Eagles, Giants, 8:15, Philly, 7.5 point favorites in New York.
I think this is the bounce back. Eagles have to win because the Phillies will probably lose. So just got to figure out. Saquon Barkley coming back to New York again. This is the game where you run him. You run him a lot. You let them show the Giants what they're missing.
You need to cover here. I think the Eagles have to cover, or you start to panic a little bit. If this is a touchdown game with Jackson Dart, who, he's 1-1, but his numbers have not been anything that impresses you about a quarterback. So you have to win by 7.5. I think they're going to cover. I think this is the time to put their foot down. I think they know how to get up for these games. I'm going to go Philly and Philly to cover. Cardinals or Broncos Jets in London. Ugh.
Another one. I mean, every week there's a London. I don't know. I could almost see the Jets covering just because Broncos are coming off an emotional game.
Just because it's a London game. That's why.
Just because it's a London game, the Broncos will have to, be jet lagged, no pun intended, and win on a last second field goal. I think Denver will win, but I could almost see the Jets with like a gentlemanly backdoor cover at the end.
I could almost see a Jets win here just because Denver went out and won. They beat Philly, and now you have to go all the way over to London. Like like you said, there's going to be jet lag there. I'm going to pick the Jets just because. I mean, Denver's 6.5 point favorites here, but I'm going to take the Jets. I like them here. Browns Steelers 6.5 point favorites at home.
I like the Browns to cover. I don't think they'll win. I just think the Steelers are so overrated. They're just they're good in the regular season because they're good in the regular season and because of Mike Tomlin, and that's it. So out of protest, I'm taking the Browns to cover.
Coming out of the bye, I feel like the Steelers, this is like the moment, Dylan Gay, they live for this shit. They live for putting the Browns in their place. Dylan Gabriel, you have a little bit of confidence, but Cleveland coming back from London, I'm going to take the Steelers to dominate in this one. I feel like that just has to happen. They live for it. It's one of those rivalries. Cardinals, Colts, Indianapolis, 7.5 point favorites.
I was just going to say one other note. The Steelers have completely dominated the Browns since they came back to the NFL. Colts, Cardinals, I think this is a low spread for the Colts, the way they're blowing teams out, 7.5. You had your letdown against the Rams a few years ago. I'm taking the Colts.
The Cardinals are probably as depressed as a football team can be right now. I mean, your head coach gets fined $100,000 for screaming at a running back and body checking him. You fumble the game away in a couple of different ways. You fumble at the goal line, and then you fumble on an interception that results in a touchdown for the Titans. So this is a very deflated Cardinals team. You're 2-3 now. You feel like it's slipping away, and you have to go in and play a team that is dominating everyone that comes through their way that is bad. Against my better judgment, I'm going to go with the Cardinals because it's tradition, and now I feel like I have to stay with it because we're 4-1. So I'm going with the Cardinals, but like my logical brain would say the Colts are going to win this one pretty comfortably. Chargers, Dolphins. Chargers 3.5 here. They're only given 3.5. Why?
I know. That's why I almost like Miami. I do. Chargers have the Colts after this, so I don't know. I just feel like the Chargers are charging again. If they win, it's going to be on a last-second field goal. I'm going to take the points again. Picking a lot of dogs this week.
Yeah, I like Miami here. Maybe last second win for the Chargers. Maybe get back on the horse a little bit after a couple of tough losses. But look out for the Dolphins here. Look out for them. But then again, I could also just see like they quit. This is a big quit game for the Dolphins as well. So it can go one of those two ways. I don't think you're going to see like a 14-point somewhat competitive game from the Dolphins. It's either going to be Dolphins come in and win and just really like roll, or Chargers eke one out here. Patriots, Saints, New England giving 3.5 in New Orleans.
I like the Patriots. Yeah, I think the Saints come down off of first win. Pats riding the momentum. I'm going to take the Pats.
Yeah, it's the Pats. Rams, Ravens in Baltimore. These games are weird, right? These games always get weird.
They do. I almost want to take the Ravens as a 7.5-point dog, but I think the Rams are so pissed off after Sunday night or after Thursday night. And I mean, assuming Lamar Jackson doesn't play, they have a bye the week after, so it would make sense to keep him out until they play the Bears on the 26th. Against the like your tradition, I'm going with the Rams here.
Yeah, I just can't. I can't see the Rams losing this and dropping to 3-3. This is a must win on the road against an AFC team with a Lamar-less Ravens team. This is a must win for the Rams. But I could see this. I don't know. You guys just look so bad. You guys look really bad.
Yeah,
this could get weird. It could get weird, but I feel like they're going to cover. Maybe just cover in a weird way, like a blocked field goal return for a touchdown at the end to cover the 7.5-point spread. I don't know. Seahawks, Jags, big test here. Seattle actually coming into Jacksonville, 1.5-point favorites.
I like the Jags. It's a long flight for Seattle to go all the way to Jacksonville. Seattle's 2-0 on the road. That's due to come down, I think. I'm going Jags.
Yeah, I got to go with the Jags here too. I think they're gonna ride the momentum a little bit. They have to. It's the middle of the season. They're going to do that. Cowboys, Panthers. This is a good little litmus test, I think, for both teams. These teams are they're both frisky. Cowboys 2-1, Panthers 2-3, coming off a win. This is a tough one. Dallas 3.5-point favorites in Carolina.
I like Dallas. I actually think they're a little better than people think. I think Carolina will have a come down after that late win.
Yeah, I'm going to go Dallas here too. You got it. This would be a perfect spot to get over that hump and show people we can come out and win a couple games in a row. It doesn't matter how bad these teams are. Titans, Raiders. Oh boy. Really bad.
Oh, this is the Raiders. This is one the Raiders have to get. The Titans are coming off their win. They can just relax and go back to being bad.
Yeah. And the Raiders they're not 1-5. I don't think they're a 1-5 team.
I don't think so. No, I would take them 3.5. I actually think they might win handily. Pete Carroll's not going to let this team be this bad.
Yeah. 49ers, Bucks, Tampa, 2.5-point home favorite.
I'm going Tampa. See, again, Niners are 3-0 on the road. They're going to lose one. I think a come down. Mac Jones had his moment. This is not a ride the momentum game for the Niners. I think it's a prove it game for the Bucks. I'm going Tampa.
I need to see them win by a touchdown.
Yeah, I was going to say at least 7.
That doesn't happen at the end of the game where they're tied. Like I need to see this where Tampa again, like I said earlier, puts their foot down and says we're a competent team. We can beat a team like the Niners. Joe Flacco returns to sees the Packers again. Last time we saw the Packers was a few weeks ago, and he beat them. So Bengals, Packers, Green Bay 14.5. That is a big spread.
Yeah, I think Green Bay will win, and a little revenge on Flacco. But I'm not giving away 14.5. I'm sorry. Not the way the Bengals actually hung in there, showed some scrappiness against the Lions. This could be a little tougher for the Packers. I expect the Packers to come out and win. They had a bye. They had that tie against Dallas. They've had time to regroup. I've definitely taken the Packers to win, but I'm not laying those points.
Also, here's something you're really not going to like. Titans Raiders is on Fox. 49ers Bucks is on CBS.
Yeah, it's disgraceful. Gotten used to it.
What?
Sucks.
Bengals Packers is also on CBS, which that makes more sense.
No, that's right.
Why do we not have I feel like one of those 425 games should be on CBS and one of them should be on Fox. They're both
the NFC is the road team. It should be but the AFC, I mean Titans Raiders is CBS and 49ers Bucks is Fox. That's how it's been forever, but the NFL likes to do things for no reason, so.
Yeah, but also both 425 games, which hopefully at least 49ers Bucks should be a good game. And I'm kind of thinking Bengals Packers can be a little better than we expect. Should be on different stations, so you can put one on each screen. It shouldn't just be dual CBS. I think that's ridiculous. Lions Chiefs Sunday Night Football. Kansas City is actually sporting a 1.5 point favorite here. They are 1.5 point favorites in Kansas City. I think that's crazy.
I do too. I'm taking the Lions.
Vegas knows something there. They feel something. Kansas City might be able to get up for this one. I'm going to take Kansas City here. I mean, are they 2-4? Is this a 2-4 Chiefs team? They're going to stay afloat here. I think they're going to get back to 500. And the Lions, like as good as they've looked against, the bad teams and stuff, I think they're going to lose one. They're going to lose one here. And I think it's going to be this one. And then to the double Monday night game, Bills Falcons, Buffalo 4.5 point favorites.
I would probably take the Bills as a bounce back here, but I'm not totally sold on it. I just think that they, after losing in prime time last week, they gotta figure out a way to get right.
Yeah, and the Falcons are just meh.
Yeah.
Buffalo 4.5. I like the 4.5 there. And then Bears Commanders. Rematch of the Hail Mary game. Washington giving 4.5 at home.
I like the Commanders. I do. I think PTSD for the Bears. Their season was ruined in this stadium last year.
This is a different Bears team, man. I think the Bears are going to win this one. I think Jaden Daniels has to have a little bit of a low point after coming back from injury last week. Big return, win comfortably. Here, I think it's going to be a loss. I think Caleb Williams is gonna get the better of his draft rival, I guess, in this one. I just don't think Jaden Daniels is going to be 2-0 versus Caleb Williams.
I don't know. I think Washington. I think it might be closer than we think, but I still trust the Commanders more.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's where we're going to leave off for the week. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Go check out Draft America. Go check out Spring Hill Sports Cards. And don't forget that the Yankees are eliminated. We do not have to talk about them for the rest of, until April or March, really. We don't have to think about them. So celebrate it, enjoy it. And we still have playoff baseball going on. So
send us out with more New York, New York. I love it. Good place
send us
to stop.
out. All right, let's send us out with more New York, New York. Here we go.
Start spreading the news.
We'll see you next week.
I'm leaving today. I want to be a part of it.